is Cyclo? Well, Cyclo is really a concept that we thought of about 5 or 6 years ago. We have this factory here, Cyclo Spinning and Textiles, and what we make is sustainable yarns using recycled cotton fibers. So Cyclo is really the name that we use to encompass what we mean by recycled fibers sustainability. So behind Cyclo is, when you think Cyclo, you think of saving water, you think of saving energy, and you think of recycled fibers, eco-friendly for today's garment industry and really the, I guess, apparel and textile industry as a whole. So sustainability right now is a scale. There's the least sustainables, which are like the virgin polyesters and virgin viscoses, even regular cotton is in the less sustainable scope. Then you move down the line to more sustainable, which encompasses organic cotton and the recycled polyester. Then you get into most sustainable, which is recycled cotton, things like that. So that's based on life cycle studies that are done for fibers.
So what inspired the development of Cyclo as a whole?
Well, what inspired Simcoe Spinning, which is the factory that we own, that Cyclo based on, was actually the sheer volume of t-shirts specifically, but overall textiles being produced in Bangladesh, and the wastage that comes from it. So if you think about how many t-shirts we produce on a daily basis here, it's close to like 9 or 10 million pieces a day. And 10 to 20% of that fabric is waste. So that comes to 100, 200 tons of wastage just in the t-shirt industry, just in Bangladesh, we're producing on a daily basis. So that was first an untapped resource. And then that was about 10 years ago. And then 5 years ago, Cyclo kind of came up because people started getting attuned to that this is actually environmentally friendly, and that's how I got involved in it for the sustainable portion, not for any industrial thing. So that's really the interest that I took in it. And so Cyclo, like basically we're trying to make it the most, or as close to the most sustainable fiber yarns that you can get from for the textile industry.
The end product from these thread, would it be durable?
Yeah. I mean, it behaves in fabric form or in garment form. It behaves just like cotton or cotton polyester. So there's no real problem with the durability of it. Now, during processing these yarns and threads into fabrics, yeah, you have to slow down the machines a bit. It's just you have to take a little bit more care when using it in the manufacturing process. But the end product is as durable as virgin materials.
So would you say that the upcycling business is profitable?
Now it is. We have been in business for 10 years, but the whole sustainability, even though we've been doing this thing and trying to tout the sustainability part of it for 10 years, it's really been the past 2 or 3 that have been a huge uptake. Like right now is the busiest time I've had, so like I'm overbooked right now for the next 4, maybe 5 months. And that's not even including some of the bigger deals that we're working on right now. But yeah, it's become a profitable operation, but it takes time.
So are you guys with any association?
Yeah, we are members of the Sustainable Apparel Coalition.
Right.
They do very important work because they developed the Hague Index, which is essentially there's a lot of confusion about what is sustainability. But there was so much talk about it that the definition, the meaning kind of lost, or the word kind of lost meaning. So what they're doing is they're trying to standardize the measurements used for environmental impact of certain clothing. So we are members of the SAC. We are, we're certified by Global Recycle Standard, Recycle Claim Standard, and we're like the nominated recycler for a few of the larger retailers.
So what's your take on climate change?
like it's very real to the people here. They might not even notice that it's climate change or it's human driven from carbon emissions and things like that. But you have what I do is I ask people in Dhaka like, what are the biggest problems here, and they say whatever. It usually comes to like traffic and overpopulation. That some of that can be contributed also to climate change because right now, Bangladesh, what's happening is a large part of the agricultural population that's in the south is being displaced by changing weather patterns, sea level rises, mostly salt coming into the freshwater contamination or contaminating the freshwater. So that's drove a lot of climate migration. You talk to any rickshaw driver or he's like, where are you from? It's like, yeah, I'm from this place, but why'd you move to Dhaka? I was like, well, the farm industry, like our land got flooded or the crops weren't growing properly. So you feel it in Bangladesh already. Plus, we are at or below sea level, so we are going to get hit the hardest by this global warming thing. And we have 180 million people living here, so it should be taken very seriously. I mean, what we're doing ourselves is just a very small percentage of what the whole population should be doing. It's a global effort, but in terms of immediate things in Dhaka and Bangladesh as a whole, the garment industry doesn't run the entire country, but it's a big economic driver of it. And right now, the focus is on sustainability and climate change, so it's not going to be a trend. It's going to be it's the normal. It should be the normal, and it's going to be the normal. So for people here, specifically in the garment industry or any other industry, if you're not adapting your business to be made in a sustainable way, and when I say sustainable, I mean lower environmental impact, then you're going to die out. So people are already complaining. There's a bit of a lull here in Bangladesh in the garment industry. Factories are empty, don't have as much orders and stuff like that. And yeah, one of the reasons that the overall demand for clothes has leveled off, we're not experiencing the same boom that we did a few years ago. But the other thing is that big retailers now, environmental compliance and sustainable practices are as important to them in terms of doing business or starting new business as prices and social compliance. So that can be ingrained in our structure. But one thing you can be proud of is that in Bangladesh we have more green factories or certified green factories than any other country. So even if you compare our standards to like Pakistan or like China, Indonesia, Vietnam, these other garment making factories, we are actually ahead, which is something to be proud of, I think.
How many kilos of scraps is Cyclo getting every year? And it's keeping away from landfills?
Right now, approximately 2.5 to 3 million kilos per year, but that's going to increase probably in the next year or so. Again, that's maybe 5-10% of what we produce on a daily basis. Yeah.
So, from the raw materials to the end product, the machineries being used, it's known to be lower in terms of emissions released.
Yeah. Compared to our process specifically uses open-end machines,
Right.
Which maximize the recycled fiber content.
Right.
And open-end machines are generally much more efficient than ring spinning machines, which are the traditional way that yarns are made. And the number one focus when we look for new machines, which we're going through an expansion and replacement right now, the number one focus is energy consumption and overall productivity that way, because the more efficient it is, also you're reducing your kgs of carbon per kilo of yarn emission that way, which ours is pretty low as it is.
So, do you have a message for the end consumers?
Yeah, specifically when buying clothes or shopping, let's just say, the overall notion that I would give, like the biggest thing, which is probably not even good for my business, but I'll say it anyway, is just buy less. You don't need a new pair of jeans every month, type of situation. That's gonna reduce your impact. But when you are shopping, look at care labels. What is the stuff made out of? Is it made out of like cotton, polyester? There are certain fibers that are not very sustainable, polyester being one of them. So look for recycled polyester on the labels. I would suggest retailers to educate their their shopping assistants to be more aware of like what exactly is organic, what is not organic, what is a little bit of percentage of organic meat compared to a larger percent. Look for recycled size because these are generally more sustainable than even organic or BCI. Whereas like ecologically grown are not necessarily mean anything because that could encompass a lot of things. So educate yourself a little bit and try to do some research before